7K Nation! Hope everyone's doing well. Man, another coin drop. Coin drop! This time, though, we got to chat first. So hang in there with me. Won't take too long, but I have to answer the question that we get all the time of why collectibles? We're in the bullion game. We do silver eagles, we do bars and all the things, right? And a lot of people come into 7K expecting that that's all they're going to do, and then they learn about collectibles, and we just love them and we push them hard because it's a great piece. It can be a great asset financially in the long term. So why collectibles? Listen, this is how I like to think about it. If you go all the way back to early 1900s, like 1999. Party like it's 1999. No, let's go further back. So like World War II, there's scares every decade. I promise you, there's some type of scare where people have said the world is going to end, or life as we know it is going to be different. Right? 1950s, you got the arms race that started. It was a real big deal for people. They didn't know what was going to happen. 60s, you had high inflation rate. Late 60s, you got Vietnam, you got high inflation rates. Getting off the gold standard, by the way. Economic turmoil, like some real tough times through there. Late 60s, early 70s. And 80s, you got the Cold War. I mean, people were building bunkers, by the way. Bunkers. Underground houses. I had friends that they lived in an underground house. And it was built in the 80s for that reason, okay? So there was some real worries about the world ending. It didn't stop there. Y2K. Look at 1999. I mean, there was a really popular song, Party Like It's 1999. Remember it? Yeah, so all of these times in history, there's been different reactions, right? But there's always the fear and the threat of something happening to us tomorrow. And today, frankly, we're looking at economic turmoil. We have more money being printed than ever before. The Fed is printing money out of control. There's risk of inflation. We've had deflation. We've got risk of high interest rates, risk of the dollar collapsing altogether. Who knows if that's going to happen? And we're preparing that way with bullion, right? But in every decade and every scare, there's been people that have tried to prepare in some way for the short term, for the world ending tomorrow. And those people usually make out okay in the short term. But here's the problem. I personally know, and I know you know, a lot of people that in the 80s, they had the scares, right? They had to go through these challenges. Young families in the 80s today are actually facing retirement. They're facing the next 20 or 30 years of their life with a decision to make if they keep working or if they try to squeak by on Social Security that is less than they thought it might be, or kids supporting them, or what have you, right? There are these real world decisions being made today from people in the 1980s that didn't care about the short term or the long term, or that only cared about the short term, right? They weren't planning far into the future because they thought the world was going to end. But the people that were really preparing in the 1980s saying, I'm going to take care of the short term and I'm going to look into the future and I'm going to keep planting apple trees. In other words, if that's how I make my living, I'm going to keep doing it, right? I am going to keep planting those apple trees because heaven forbid the world keeps going. Then I better have another harvest, right? And so that's kind of how we look at collectibles. The people that would have started in the 80s collecting silver eagles, for example, if they were thinking, man, I don't think the world's going to end tomorrow, I'm going to prepare for that just in case, but I know that I'm going to be 60 or 65 one day. I want to leave a legacy for my kids. Hopefully I don't have to use that for retirement, but if I do, it's going to be really nice to have. If they would have started that, we talk about the $1.2 million mistake, right? If you would have got a silver eagle from 1986 or 87, one a month today, that portfolio of silver eagles graded MS70, I like to be conservative and say probably between $500,000, but it's also proven that through auctions and other things, it's gone to 1.6. That's what it would be worth today. So that's a pretty good, and by the way, you would have spent $40,000 to $50,000 on that. And so that's a pretty good play for financial freedom, right? For retirement, for the long term. And so that is one of the biggest reasons that we do collectible coins, is because there's actually really great upside in it. In the long term, there's really great upside in it financially. The bigger play for us though too is this, it's legacy. The things that the stories you can tell, the memories you can make, And not to mention that, but the coins that, if you don't have to sell them for your retirement, leaving a big collection. In fact, Larry Miller, he's a entrepreneur. He's passed away now. Owned the Utah Jazz in Utah. Bunch of car dealerships. True entrepreneur. I think I don't know the exact number, but he just sold a coin collection that sold for several $1 million. Okay, and that's part of his legacy that his kids were able to take part of. That's one of the reasons that we do collectibles. And so, that being said, the coin drop today is kind of a commemoration of that, okay? 1999, Y2K, I mean, everybody was freaking out. This bug was gonna just crash the computer system completely, okay? So the coin that we have today is actually from the year 2000. And it is to commemorate Y2K, okay? It's really cool how they did it. It's actually a Greenwich coin. What I mean by that is Greenwich is the place where time and time zones were actually kind of standardized, okay? The Meridian line, it separates the Eastern Hemisphere and the Western Hemisphere. It's longitude 0. That is the place where all of the time zones kind of stem from for a really long time. Like I said, they actually have a line there. It's a copper line that separates this. It used to be copper. In the year 2000, they switched, or 1999, they switched it to be digital. Okay, so to accommodate for computers and all the new things. So they actually took that brass piece out of the Meridian line that was there in the observatory, and they put it on this coin. Okay, so it's the actual copper from that Meridian line is on this coin. It's really, really cool. And the coin kind of tells a story of every decade, right? And that in the year 2000, the world was supposed to end. But guess what? It didn't, and we're still here 21 years later. Almost, and people are still asking the question, how do I retire? And so this coin is to help you remember to prepare not only for tomorrow, but for the long term, right? Prepare for both. Time is of the essence. We need to do it with urgency, but you can't just do one. You got to do both. Here you go. This is a 21-year-old coin. Super cool. We got like 2,000 of these, which makes this even more special, right? So it's the year 2000. We got about 2,000 of them. You're gonna see that's kind of around the population of these. There's less 70s than MS69s, I'll be honest. We actually had to go get each of these cleaned through a professional cleaning service. It's very meticulously done, and so it's taken a little more time. We wanted to sell these earlier, but really, really cool story, really cool coin, and now it can be yours. Graded MS70 or 69, super affordable. This is an everybody coin. It's already gone up in value over time, just the uncirculated, but now graded. Who knows what this coin can do, but that's not the point for this one. This one is get the coin so that you can always remember that we need to prepare for tomorrow, and we need to have a really good strategy to prepare for the future. And that's one of the reasons that we love collectible coins here. So anyway, that's the coin drop for today. Little lesson with it. Hopefully you endured. But as always, we love you, and we will see you later.